The scope of crimes committed by Donald Trump and his cronies to overthrow the results of the 2020 election is so vast that it is actually straining the investigative and prosecutorial resources of several states and the federal government. News coming out of Michigan today reminds us that there are still several states pursuing criminal charges against MAGA fake electors, and that these charges do not have to stop at the border. But even more than that, this news hints that more might be coming, as I'll unpack later. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel's office has been pursuing an investigation into the fake electors since the day they showed up to the state capitol building and tried to illegally gain access. Now, Nessel is a Democrat, so naturally, MAGA Nation is going to cry, "Witch hunt!" But I want you to take a look at this photo of fake electors walking to the Capitol building with their forged documents. How is this a witch hunt? Did stormtroopers bust into their homes, force them to get dressed, and make them march to the Capitol? No. These people knowingly met inside GOP headquarters on December 14th, specifically to produce a fraudulent document. Their design and their intent was to defraud the people of the United States and overturn the results of the 2020 election, all so that Donald Trump could stay in power. Prosecuting those actions is not a witch hunt. It's called the operations of the criminal justice system. And here it's worth noting that these people are marching to the Capitol wearing masks. They are fighting hard to keep the guy in power who did literally nothing to stop COVID, except maybe wish it away. And instead, he politicized vaccinations. That's the kind of chaotic, cult-following, anti-democratic, anti-rule of law society this collection of losers is marching to preserve. Fortunately for democracy, the rule of law was upheld in Michigan that day. State police officers, under the command of Captain Darren Green, refused to let the fraudsters gain access to the building. The building was closed to everyone but legitimate state electors. And this is an important reminder to all of us. On December 14th, the rule of law held. Elsewhere across the country, courts heard cases regarding election fraud and tossed them out. The rule of law held. And despite the best efforts of Donald Trump and his minions, the rule of law held on January 6th. Barely, but it held. And here is where Captain Green's testimony on Friday is important news. Green was testifying on behalf of the investigation of December 14th, and in his testimony revealed that he had been interviewed only one day before by both the FBI and 2 U.S. prosecutors from Washington, D.C. To no surprise, the focus of their questioning was on the fake electors. The individuals being investigated in Michigan for their participation in the fake elector fraud are already defending themselves by claiming they were acting under the advice of GOP lawyers. And sure, obviously they will say anything to save their skins, but this gang who couldn't shoot straight clearly could not have come up with this plan on their own. Linking their actions to GOP lawyers getting instructions from Washington will not be difficult. And from there, it will lead right to Trump. One of the fake electors in Michigan has already reached a plea deal, so putting all the pieces together won't be exactly difficult. Michigan has already roped in GOP lawyers Sean Flynn and Kenneth Chesebro, laying the groundwork for federal DAs to link it to Trump, who is already named as an unindicted co-conspirator. What Captain Green's testimony makes clear is that Michigan may not go after Trump himself, but it seems quite clear the federal government is trying to make that case. And while Michigan may not go after the orange doofus, the state is going to try and prosecute the clowns that tried to do his bidding. I keep going back to this photo, which shows two things. First, it shows that the fake electors were not exactly a secret. Note the amount of cameras present. The media that day did its job. The other thing about this photo is the police at the door refusing entry. The rule of law held that day. But ever since then, the Republican Party has been actively working so that in 2024, the rule of law will not hold. They have run candidates for clerks of court, for election supervisors, vote counters, secretaries of states, and for judgeships. This political party has, in essence, revealed itself to have no legitimacy whatsoever. It openly admits that the only election results it will ever accept are elections they win. That's not democracy, that's fascism. The way forward for Democrats is nothing less than getting voters to fight for democracy and the rule of law, to go out and fight for every district in every state. Because if this country is to be saved from the rising tide of fascism, it needs a blue tsunami. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.